I would like to call this meeting to order. Will everyone please rise for the pledge and remain standing? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. At this time, I'd like to have a moment of silence for Ryan Rogers. May his parents and family feel the love and support of our community during this difficult time. Thank you. You may be seated. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Mayor Litt,
Here.
Vice Mayor Reed,
Here.
Councilmember Woods,
Here, ma'am.
Councilmember Marciano,
Here.
Councilmember Tinsley.
Here.
Are there any additions, deletions, or modifications this evening?
No, ma'am.
Thank you. Before we get started with announcements and presentations, I just wanted to touch a bit on the press conference this morning. As you're all aware by now, Chief Shannon held a press conference this morning alongside Detective Bashir, fellow officers, our forensic specialists, the Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office and lab teams, and the Miami-Dade Police Department. I want to thank them all for their dedication and persistence in finding the clues that ultimately led to finding the suspect in Ryan's murder. This could have very well been an unsolved case if not for the amazing talent of these dedicated individuals. The suspect is not a member of our community, and this is a case that could happen anywhere in this country, and unfortunately, it happened here. It has been a difficult 2 weeks for our community. As a community member, parent, and grandparent, I too wanted the answers that would have made me feel safe and less vulnerable while the investigation proceeded. I hope you can understand, as I did, that precautions in the release of information so as not to endanger the investigation were necessary to ensure the suspect was identified and apprehended as quickly as possible for the safety of all. And he was. I have never been more proud of our police officers, detectives, and forensics team, and more confident in their abilities than I am now. While this was a stressful and difficult week for the Palm Beach Gardens family, I can only imagine it is nothing compared to the hell that Ryan's parents and loved ones have been going through since his body was discovered. My heart hurts for them and for all who knew Ryan. At this time, I would like to call Charlotte Przensky, Leisure Services Administrator, to the podium.
Good evening, Council. Charlotte Przensky, Leisure Services Administrator. It is with great pleasure that I'm back in front of you this year to talk about what is on your consent agenda. It's Resolution 66. It's your agreement with the Children's Healthcare Charities for this upcoming Honda Classic for the Public Safety Grant. As you know, since 2005, the city has been the host city of the Honda Classic, and the international exposure and the number of people that attend are an economic boom not only to the community, but also to the charities that benefit from the great work of the Honda Classic Cares program. So to tell you more about that, as they do every year, I'd like to call up Ken Kennerly and Andrew George, and they have a presentation for you.
Mayor, council, staff, thank you for having us in tonight, and thank you for the partnership. It feels like we were just at the table talking about the 2021 Honda Classic, and here we go again. But Ken is going to talk a little bit about the growth and where we're heading as we go into February of 2022. But I think we'd be remiss without talking on this last year's tournament. a lot of celebration in the midst of challenges, obviously 20 months of a pandemic and trying to figure out, to put it in perspective, at this point last year, we didn't know if we were going to have any fans, 5,000 fans, 10,000, or full boat, anywhere in between. And to get to the milestones that we did collectively, we really appreciate everything that the city did in collaboration, literally from moment number one. It starts with American Honda. We celebrated their 40th year as the title sponsor, the longest title on the PGA Tour, and the longest title and sponsorship in any sport around the country. We were happy to announce at that time, in the midst of the pandemic for them, in the midst of a presidential change in their leadership, an extension through the 2023 Honda Classic. So we've got them at least through the 42nd playing and already working on growing that from 42 to beyond. The attendance, we were settled in on a 10,000 max per day, Thursday through Sunday. Our structures were limited to 20%. We had roughly 35,000 in total scans coming through. But the number that we think about every day as we come to work, pride ourselves in as a community here, is that philanthropic number. And for us, it was the second highest charitable giving number we had ever had at $5.1 million. We budgeted for 2.8. I don't know if that was bad budgeting on our part or a good tournament, but to celebrate over $5 million, again, hit $55 million since the inception of the tournament with the Honda Classic. And as our primary beneficiary, Nicholas Children's Healthcare Foundation, Jack and Barbara, and all the great work they do in South Florida, hit $10 million in giving to them as a group as well. So a lot of celebration amidst the challenge that we had this past year, including the Honda Birdies for Children program. I think when I was running it, we were at 37,000, and now we just hit 3 million in 1 year. So clearly the leadership there on that side is going well. It's a community event. It feels like that through and through. You guys help us to make that, to feel like it's a tight-knit group of sponsors and patrons in celebration with American Honda. But wanted to remind everyone kind of the international reach that this event really has. The television coverage on Golf Channel and NBC continues to grow. We're over 72 hours of live coverage on Golf Channel and NBC. In total, when you tally up all the different platforms and stations around the world, we had 1,000+ hours of live coverage of the Honda Classic. And the total viewing time, we track this. Obviously, there's a difference between someone watching for 2 minutes and an hour. We had a record length of 77 minutes of average viewership over those 1,000+ hours. And why that's important, we work very hard with NBC and the Golf Channel to make sure that we're highlighting, especially in late February when it's snowing in many parts of the country, how great Palm Beach Gardens, how great Palm Beach County is. We had over 60 minutes of direct on-air coverage talking about this great community that we live here with Pga Nationals and Palm Beach Gardens. The broadcast reach continues to grow, over 1 billion households worldwide in 227 countries and territories, 23 different languages. The trend that we're seeing as we go forward, and it's no surprise, it's like any other event, a lot more in the digital space. It's not just the NBC broadcast that people are tuning into. It's YouTube. It is online Vimeo. It's the different social channels that we have out there. We had 275% increase year over year in those event-related social and video channels. So there's a lot of opportunity there. Over 11 million views into the online platform this year as that continues to grow in contrast to the broadcast. So I'll turn it over to Ken, talk a little bit about 2022 and beyond as we move forward.
Thanks, Andrew, and once again, thank you all for inviting us up here, Mayor and council members. It's truly an honor to stand in front of you all and to represent this great city of Palm Beach Gardens and our great county. As Andrew said, the PGA Tour just continues to outpace itself. They're doing such a great job, but it is all about philanthropy. And you heard Andrew talk about how we surpassed 55 million. You know, assuming the stars line up once again this year, I think we're going to surpass $60 million in total giving from the Honda Classic. 2022, I think it's no surprise. We're back to there are no mandates at all from the PGA Tour. There's no cap on anything we're doing. While we are maintaining some of the social protocols that we had put in place through the pandemic, we're gearing for 100% capacity. Our build will be over 350,000 square feet of build, which is similar to what we had in 2020. Frankly, it'll probably be a little bit more as we continue to roll it. I will say just quickly, our community continues to be such a great support mechanism for us. our great sales team, along with Andrew and myself, are doing a wonderful job in generating substantial revenue, which of course is all going to be kicked back in the form of profits. I think one thing that's particularly important to us this year is we're back to our original dates. We were the kickoff of the Florida Swing several years ago, as you know. Mexico as a World Golf Championship is going away, so the players will come directly from Los Angeles. We won't have another major event before us, which unfortunately did compete with some of our players joining us. So the event will come into Palm Beach County, into the city of Palm Beach Gardens, go up to Orlando, and then to the Players Championship. So if you look back at some of the strongest fields we've had, it's in this position, and we're honored to be the kickoff of the Florida Swing. As we look at the activations, as I said, a lot of what we're doing is coming back over 20 public activations where best practice on the PGA Tour. Those are structures that you don't need anything more than a normal grounds tickets to get in. For those of you, I know many of you all and people in this room have been to the Honda Classic. The average PGA Tour event is about 4 to 5 public structures. We've got over 20 public activations, thanks to our sponsors that literally give us the money to build these structures. We're thrilled to bring back our Patriots Outpost, the Military Appreciation Pavilion. It really hurt us last year that we couldn't invite the military, as you know, complimentary on behalf of our partners in the past, United Technologies, and this year Pratt & Whitney, another one of our great local companies, stepped up to sponsor this tremendous Patriots Outpost. And, you know, we had over 15,000 people that walked through our facility, lunch, beverages in 2020. Our Women's Leadership Forum will be back. We're going to be announcing our 2 speakers. I think you'll find them to be pretty dynamic. That'll be Tuesday of tournament week. Our kickoff party will be back. We are looking for a location. Currently, it will not be at the Gardens Mall this year, but Mr. Forbes has assured us that we'll be back in 2023 in the Gardens Mall for our kickoff party. Of course, our great partner, one of our great local corporations, Tire Kingdom and TBC, and our Founders Club partner will be back with our fireworks and our after-play concerts. And again, as we look to, as we build the highlights, you'll see a tremendous bear trap, second floor structure this year, the Bear Trap Reserve. It's really exciting. We're getting a lot of take-up on this, and you'll see some photos here shortly. But literally, we have a second floor in the Bear Trap behind the 17th tee, so about a third of the structure will have a second floor. The Legends Club underneath 18, right on the 18th green, our highest form of hospitality, will be back. New public bleacher sponsors will have, as I referenced, 350,000+ square feet of build. And our daily themes will be our Military Appreciation Day will be Thursday, as it has been in the past, followed by a concert that night. Friday will be our Health and Wellness Day, sponsored by Jupiter Medical Center, our great official medical partner, along with Nicholas Children's Hospital down in Miami. And Saturday, of course, our Tire Kingdom Kids and Family Day. And as always, Honda Classic Cares Play Yellow Day, which is a partnership with Jack and Barbara Nicholas, will be on Sunday. I also want to reference that we've got a great partner in Pga National Resort and Spa. As you know, they're going through substantial renovations right now, and all that's going to do is help the tournament as we continue to go forward. So we're looking forward to their commitment that they've showed us year in and year out, as you know, from the previous owner, certainly to this owner. So we're looking forward to the changes we've seen. We're incredibly happy with what they're doing, and I know even following the Honda Classic, there are going to be some additional changes. So with that, Andrew, on behalf of Andrew and myself and the rest of our board, we just want to thank you. It's an absolute honor to have our great relationship with the City of Palm Beach Gardens. I've said it before, you're one of the best practices on the PGA Tour, the way you and your team embrace what we're able to bring to town. So thank you.
Thank you.
Like I said it last year, or the year before, I said it's Christmas in February when the Honda Classic comes in. Because it is. Everybody just glows from all over the county, and the city just shines during that time. So, and the revenue that it brings to the corridor, in our community, it's well needed these days. So we're really looking forward to it being a big blast. So, and we always love our partnership with you guys. So are we doing the party this year in the mall?
We're not doing it this year.
We're not going to do it?
Yeah, it's just that for various reasons.
Whatever.
We're not able to.
We always have fun there, too.
I know. We're going to have a party, though, Carl. We're going to have a party.
Bud Light.
I won't tell Corona, our beer sponsor, but we'll have some in the background, please.
Foot and mouth, Carl, foot and mouth.
I'll say also, as you know, I mean, our economic impact in our community has been measured at over $55 million, so it's a pretty, and I know you referenced it, but it's a substantial economic impact. For sure.
And the charitable impact is just amazing that you have. So, again, thank you.
You guys. Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Next is comments from the public. I have one comment card for items not on the agenda. Those that submitted cards for items on the agenda will be called up when that item comes up. So for now, will Paul LeKind please come to the microphone and state your name and address for the record, please?
My name is Paul LeKind. My address is 119 Sinesta Cove Drive in the town. Thank you, members of the council, for giving me this time to speak. I'll start by saying, when my wife goes to any mall or food market, she wears a sweater. I'm sure that most of you and others have experienced the same chill. In fact, this room itself is a little cooler than it needs to be for comfort. Now it's obvious that my point is that these places are overcooled. So here's what I'm getting at. I think there's an opportunity for the council to take the lead fighting global warming locally. I think, and so do many others, that climate change and energy overuse is the most serious problem facing our children and grandchildren. Is there a good local way to reduce energy use? Yes. As a town, we could create a joint workforce with all the markets and mall directors to decrease the air conditioning levels and increase the ambient temperatures in these places. If done with full backing of the council and with a public campaign of all those involved, to show concern for climate change and at the same time making stores more comfortable. I think that this is a way for the stores also to reducing their energy bills. If this is successful, it could be a model for other towns to copy us. This is an opportunity for the Palm Beach Council to fight climate change. I've been involved in this area for many years and will be happy to volunteer to be involved in any such project that you consider. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul. We may take you up on that. Okay. Next is the city manager report. Ron, do you have a report this evening?
Just a couple of announcements, if you would. You know, we have a lot of events occurring this month. I just want to bring attention to some of them. We have our 37th annual holiday bazaar, Friday the 3rd through Saturday the 4th of December. It goes from 11 to 8 on Friday and 9 to 4 over at Burns Road Community Center. This is 85 vendors, handicrafts, gift items for the holidays. It's quite a cool event. In addition to that, this Friday at 5:30, December the 3rd at Burns Road Community Center again is our annual tree lighting ceremony, 5:30, 6 o'clock. 6 o'clock it is. We also have our second Films on the Field, which will be out by the Miracle League facility. It's sponsored by Ballinals Charities as well as Frenchman Creek Charities, and this will be a free event. Where you bring a blanket or a lawn chair and watch the movie Elf out on the lawn outside. You bring your own popcorn, your sodas, and the family, and have a good family event. I attended the last one, and it was great. We also have Stories in the Park, Saturday the 18th from 10 to 11 at Pga National Park over on Ryder Cup. It's free, and the storytelling will be near the playground. And there'll be, it's a children's entertainment program, and it's free for everyone to come. That's from 10 to 11, Pga National Park, Saturday the 18th. Also, we continue our community concert series. The Motowners, the Ultimate Motown Tribute Band, sponsored by the Frenchman's Creek Charities, will be performing Saturday, December the 18th from 7 to 9. Those of you that attended the last one know how much fun that can be. It'll be here on the Veterans Plaza. It's free, incredible music, and I think everyone could enjoy that. Also, we have the Littlemo International Youth Tennis Tournament, which starts December 3 through 8 at the tennis pickleball facility over at Joe Russo Park. The Little Mo's draws players from 8 to 12 years old, 13 to 16 category from 60 different countries, along with parents and siblings that attend. Also, in addition to that, we have Jamie's Angels, Saturday, December the 18th from 1 to 2 at the Tennis and Pickleball Center over at Joe Russo Facilities. The Angels meet once a month during the school year, and the members of the disabled community are invited to enjoy that program, and it's a tennis activity. Once again, it's free, and it's a family event, and it's welcomed by all. Those are the announcements of the holiday activities, unless I missed any. So I just want to invite everybody out. We have a lot of things going on. They're all family-oriented events, and that's what we're all about. So thank you very much.
Unlike many cities in Florida, Palm Beach Gardens is truly a multi-generational city, and we have activities for everyone. Next is the consent agenda. Is anyone pulling anything from the consent agenda?
I'll make a motion to accept the consent agenda.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes 5-0.
Mayor, if I might recognize Gary Hines, are you here? There you are. Hi, from the BDB. We thank you for being here and helping us with this program that we have for incentives for some local business. So appreciate your being here, Gary.
Thank you, Ron. Thank you, Council, for your support. Good evening.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Tonight, we are holding quasi-judicial hearings on the following cases. Ordinance 14, 2021, second reading and adoption, rezoning to change the zoning designation of approximately 2.08 acres within Pga National from Planned Community Development PCD. Resolution 60, 2021, Planned Community Development PCD amendment to Pga National PCD Master Plan. Resolution 61, 2021, Planned Unit Development PUD amendment to expand the PGA Resort Core. This means that the City Council is required by law to base its decision on the evidence contained in the record of this proceeding, which consists of the testimony at the hearing, the materials which are in the official city file on this application, and any documents presented during this hearing. The council is also required by law to allow cross-examination of any witnesses who testify tonight. Cross-examination may occur after the staff, the applicant, and other participants have made their presentations and will be permitted in the order of the witness's appearance. It is necessary that anyone who testifies at the hearing remain until the conclusion of the hearing in order to be able to respond to any questions. If you plan to testify this evening or wish to offer written comments, please fill out a card and give it to the city clerk. The city clerk will now swear in all persons who intend to offer testimony this evening on any of these cases.
Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Madam Mayor.
Will the clerk please read the title?
Ordinance 13, 2021, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Palm Beach Gardens, Florida, adopting a small-scale amendment to its comprehensive plan future land use map in accordance with the mandates set forth in Chapter 163, Florida statutes, pursuant to application number CPSS-20-11-000014, in order to change the land use designation on 2.08 acres in size, more or less, from Golf G to Commercial C, providing a notation on the future land use map pertaining to the permitted land use density and intensity related to the subject property. The subject property being located within Pga National, immediately adjacent to the Pga Resort Core at the southern terminating end of Avenue of the Champions, approximately 0.50 miles south of Pga Boulevard, providing for compliance with all requirements of Chapter 163 Florida statutes, providing for transmittal to the Florida Department of Economic Opportunity, DEO, providing that the future land use map of the City of Palm Beach Gardens be amended accordingly, providing a conflicts clause, a severability clause, and authority to codify, providing an effective date and for other purposes. Note to the public, there is a sign-in sheet at the front desk for anyone wanting additional information from the Department of Economic Opportunity.
I'd like to open the hearing. Can we declare any ex partes or exclusions from the process?
Madam Mayor, I have to recuse myself from Ordinance 13, Ordinance 14, and the companion items due to the fact that my husband is a shareholder in the company that did the traffic report and the landscape architecture.
Okay. Chelsea, any ex partes?
I spoke with Ken Tuma on November 30th briefly about some possible changes.
I've spoken with Ken at least 5 or 6 times since the last meeting, and I have spoken with Brian Seymour today.
I had 4 conversations with Ken Tuma and obviously plenty of emails and conversations with residents.
Same. Multiple conversations with Ken and a short conversation with Brian.
Okay. Has anything changed since the first reading?
Yes, Madam Mayor, and the applicant is here to present those changes.
Ken, welcome to present your presentation.
Well, thank you. Good evening. Ken Tuma with Urban Design Studio. My address is 610 Clematis Street, and I've been sworn in. This evening, you have 4 items in front of you. In the general context of those 4 items, several of them are in second reading: a small-scale comprehensive plan amendment, a rezoning from golf to commercial, a PCD master plan amendment, and a plan unit development and a site plan amendment. None of those items, with the exception of the site plan, have changed since the last hearing. With permission of the council, I would like to jump right to the items that have changed, as you have already voted to approve the land use and the rezoning on first reading. I'd like to jump just to the items that have changed. It's a presentation is exactly the same as it was before, with the exception of the 2 items that have changed, which I'm going to address in a second. If the board would like to do that, we would appreciate that. If you'd also like, we have the opportunity to do a full presentation of the entire project. But if we do go right to the items that are of importance, that have been part of the discussion within the community, I would like to reserve a little bit of time to rebut with the PowerPoint if I need to afterwards.
Are we good with that?
Thank you.
Okay, go right ahead.
Thank you. And thank you for your time this evening, and I appreciate it. So there's been a lot of discussion about this project, and over the course of the past 2 weeks, as you can imagine, the community and the neighbors within the community, the property owner association, the residents, the members, all have participated in a very active and lively discussion. And we recognize that some of the items that they brought forth are very important to the community and to the members of the golf experience. There were a lot of items brought forth of things that people didn't like with the site plan. Our client has actively worked, they're here this evening, to try to come to a resolution or a fair and equitable compromise. Not everything is going to be solved tonight that everyone wants, but we believe that we've provided a great plan and something that will really make the PGA Resort and Spa something very special. The items that were under discussion, the key items that were under discussion, where the water slide, let me be clear to everyone this evening, we're removing that from the plan. That water slide is no longer part to this project. Another item that was very important was a restroom facility. We are tearing down a building on the golf course that has a restroom facility. The Brookfield is making some changes. We've accepted a condition of approval to make sure that the restroom that we're building for the Lazy River has a rear access door so the golfers will have a restroom. Other key items involve pool access to the golf cart. There will be no access from the pool to the golf cart path. And then there was a discussion about the driving range. There will be modifications to the driving range, but the driving range will remain as put. Let me jump to slide 21 and save you a whole bunch of slides in between. So this is what was presented to you at your last hearing. You can see the water slide here with a big X around it. That's been removed, and that'll be on the next slide. We're replacing that water slide with landscape, seating areas, and hardscape. So the area will still be there, there just won't be a water slide there. And then here you can see the proposed revision to the site plan, a little bit more color than what was in your packet. I had a chance to hit it with a marker today. You could see the trees, the landscape. This is exactly where the water slide was, replacing it again with seating and landscaping. Everything else will remain the same as was presented to you in your previous hearing. And then finally, this is the restroom facility. There is a concession stand or a food area here. And then this building, the larger building, was a restroom facility. We're modifying that to allow for access off of the rear of that building so people on the golf cart path, the existing restroom is kind of generally in this area, they'll have to come in through the door. There'll be a unisex bathroom in the rear of that building so all the golfers, if they need to use a restroom, will have the opportunity to do that. Those plans we will be submitting, we're accepting a condition of approval to update all the plans within 30 days. Your staff has diligently reviewed this. Those updated plans in 30 days will include a new landscape plan, the restroom facility, and also a little bit more detail on the actual site plan itself. As I said a few minutes ago, I'm going to keep it very short. I have a long presentation, but those are the changes that we've done, and we believe that this is a very fair and equitable compromise. And I'd like to thank our client, Brookfield, the owner of both the resort and the golf course, for working with the community on this. And with that, I'll stop my presentation and happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you. Does anyone have any questions on this at this time? Okay.
You know, I do have one quick question for you, Ken, if you don't mind. In terms of the bathroom access, is there going to be like a cart parking area out front off the path itself so that carts don't sit there and stack? And
Yeah, that's a wide cart path in that area, Councilmember Marciano. What we're working out and why we couldn't get it completely done is there's some ADA ramps back there. So once we get that figured out, there should be plenty of room for golf cart parking
Thank you.
there. Yes, sir.
Carl?
Ken, why exactly is the slide being removed?
Sure. I mean, there's been a tremendous amount of community pushback to the proposal. The neighbors, I know that Nancy, and I'm going to forget her name, is going to come up and speak. Wiseman is going to come up and speak today in support of the removal. There's been a lot of pushback, both from not just the neighbors, but also folks who are interested in the golf experience. And I think most of you know I am not a golfer, so to me, the experience of golf, you could tell me one way or the other, but there really have been those two issues. And I know, Mr. Woods, you are a golfer, but that is the reason why it's being removed, is there's been a tremendous community.
What makes you think I'm not a slider? Other than I might not fit.
True.
Right, so I had, along with my fellow council members, about 30 emails, mix of support and opposition. Are you sure that this is the choice that you want to make in support of the community's needs and the sensitivity to the slide multiple issues that has been discussed? You're comfortable with this decision? And
Yes, sir. Our client, we have gone over it in detail and recognized that the community's input is important. And the last thing, at the end of the day, this project and the timing are critical. There are to keep it moving forward. So we are requesting your approval this evening as we are on a very critical time path here.
Okay, so the goal is to make Pga National Resort kind of its own mixed use. It doesn't just have golf. It has all kinds of things, you know. But if you're comfortable with that, then I'm comfortable with that, because we're all sensitive to the global community's needs. And that's all I have to say. I think it's a great project. And if we remove one thing and it still gets Pga National going the direction that we all want it to be, then it's still going to be an awesome project.
Yeah, I mean, we had a lot of internal conversation that the lazy river itself was really also helps accomplish the goal of making it more family oriented. We recognize, I mean, personally, I'm sure the water slide would be something great that I would like. Again, I'm not a golfer, but the bottom line is we believe that this will be satisfactory and will allow the attraction of what's necessary for the families that come who aren't golfers to enjoy a different feature than a standard pool.
Yeah, and the Lazy River will, you know, will also support the summer memberships, you know, when the community, you know, partakes in that 2 or 3 month period, you know, because they want diversity in a resort, so.
Yeah, and Mr. Woods, what Mayor Litt said last time really sunk with me, that, you know, some of your greatest experiences of were your family during the summer when it was off season, and what a cool place that's going to be to have the lazy river, to have that just unique thing that is something different that you don't, it's not sitting in the city of Palm Beach Gardens. The only other lazy river that I can think of is a hotel in the Hollywood, Florida area that I know about.
Okay, if you're happy with it, I am too. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Ken, on the plan, I don't know if it's because there wasn't time to take it off. I know stuff still has to go to staff for finalization on this, and you have, 2 weeks, I guess, to do that. It was still showing an access gate. Is there still an exit gate from that pool onto the golf cart path? There's just not. Can anyone get in that gate, or it's only?
I want to use the word one way, but it's not. It's fob oriented. It's fob access, but the situation is you have to have an access. You have to have an emergency gate there.
Right.
So that's what that gate is for. It's not intended to allow people to come in and out, but there is a gate there, just like at the pool, probably at your house. There's a gate at the rear and a gate in the front. It's just a requirement.
Okay. Chelsea?
Yes. So thank you for being a good neighbor.
Those are two ladies in the background with the green shirts are the one to thank.
Thank you. It's always nice when our residents are heard. Okay, a couple basic granular questions real quick.
ma'am.
So access to the bathrooms and ADA ramps. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah, so the way this works is there's just a little elevation differential here that we just have to work our way through. Basically, the way this bathroom's set today, it's split down the middle, women on one side, men on the other. And then there's actually a large stall, sorry to get into the granular details, but there are large stalls here. Those two stalls will be removed and will be made a unisex bathroom with access to the rear. There's plenty of room to do that. Our architect has verified that.
Okay, thank you. And then, so I just want to make sure I'm understanding where the geography of it all. The chip and putt's going away.
Chip and putt is going away. Absolutely.
Putting green to the west will still be there.
Putting green 700 feet to the west.
The driving range will be relocated.
The driving range will be relocated. It varies in relocation distance, but it's going to be relocated at this end where my mouse is. It doesn't relocate. The tee remains exactly the same. And because this is at a bit of an angle, all the way in the middle, it's about 10 feet of relocation.
Okay.
And then at this end, it gets up in the 30s and 40s as it curves.
Okay. And then something that the residents were very concerned about with the slide, but I just want to clarify, as far as noise in the city of Palm Beach Gardens, can you tell me a little bit about the noise, and then
Sure.
maybe if our staff can also back up how we work on noise?
Sure. So the pool hours will be exactly the same pool hours as they are on the existing pool. I know there is concern about noise from the pool area, and it's a very valid concern. But I want to remind everybody that the city of Palm Beach Gardens, I know this for a fact, has very stringent noise regulations. So even if the resort breaks the rules, all it takes is a call to code enforcement, and of course your staff could articulate this better than I can, but when code enforcement gets involved, I can promise you that there will be no noise coming from the pool area that will break those regulations.
I love our code enforcement staff, absolutely understood. Is there anything staff wanted to add to that for noise?
Just the applicant will be required to adhere to the city's performance codes, and in addition to that, that's been memorialized in the resolution. The hours of the operation of the lazy river have been included, and the performance codes as well.
Okay, great. And then one last question, which actually just came to my mind. So back in 1993 to 94, my husband and I built an in-ground pool in Loman's Plaza for our physical therapy office. And so I just started thinking about the process of, we did it through a little door, believe it or not, back then, so I imagine it'll be easier for you guys. What's the process to go ahead and dig there now? What do you have to go through in order to do so?
Oh, boy. I know Erica is in the audience, but what I would suspect would happen is you know, there's a parking lot kind of in this. I suspect that the equipment would get offloaded, and then the digging would be in this area. Now, just a quick reminder, this isn't a super deep pool. It's a big pool, but it's not a super deep pool. The lazy river is 36 inches deep. And then the pool at the deepest end is 54 inches, so it's not going to be a large excavating process.
And it has that nice sloped access as well, so anyone can get in.
In this area, kind of a beachy area.
Great. All right, and then when we get to zoning, I have one or two zoning questions. That's it. Thank you.
I have
Thank
one
you.
last question.
Sure.
In terms of access for the Honda Classic, they're obviously just going to be able to go around. That's how they're going to access to put all of their structures up for the tournament, is to come around this direction.
The goal is to be done before the Honda Classic starts. If it's a construction question you're asking?
This year?
No, next year.
Oh, next
That's the reason that's why we want to get approved today, because we got to go get building permits, we got to start construction.
They were quick, but my goodness. But so for future, of course, they just have to drive around.
Correct.
That's their access. Okay, thank you.
Okay. Staff have anything to add at this time? Okay. So I do have comment cards on this item. I'll call everyone up one at a time to the podium. Please state your name and address for the record. Mike Gansel. Have you been sworn in? I have not. Do they have to be sworn in?
Yeah.
They've all-
If you're going to do what you normally do, which is incorporate all the comments into one hearing, if his comments are limited to the land use amendment, then he wouldn't have to be sworn in. If his comments relate to the rezoning or any of the site plan amendments, those are quasi judicial.
So why don't we just swear anyone in who has a card?
would be-
Would anyone who has a card in to speak, please stand and be sworn in by the clerk? Yeah, they're going to bring some in to be sworn in. No, like 8. So be prepared.
Well, we're trying our best.
They deserve to have their speak. Everybody in? Okay, Patty?
Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
And when you approach the podium to speak, please state your name and address for the record and that you've been sworn in. It'll just make it a little smoother so we don't have to ask each time. Thank you.
My name is Mike Ganzel. I live at 126 Coventry
Sir,
Place.
can you please speak closer to the microphone?
Sorry.
Yeah,
Thank you.
everybody, please. It's
Mike Ganzel. I live at 126 Coventry Place, Palm Beach Gardens, in Pga National. I've lived here for 11 years. I am a member of the club. I volunteer a great number of hours to teaching pickleball at PGA. And in the last year, we've gone from approximately 30 to 35 players to now about 130 players in the blink of an eye. We have 2 regulation courts, and we use the tennis courts in a makeshift pattern right now. We're at a breaking point in terms of continuing the membership because it's really hard to get on a court. So right now, Brookfield is asking for 1 court, down the line, hopefully more. And we have a lot of people in the audience who may or may not speak, but They're here for the pickleball court, in addition to the Lazy River, which is wonderful, and the members club. But my concern is really pickleball is growing throughout the country. Just here in Lilac Park, you have 12 courts. If you don't get there by 8 o'clock, you're not playing in the morning. So people, as soon as the light hits, they're coming. And at PGA, it's the same thing. It's just the sport is exploding. So I'm hoping that you support that as well.
Thank you. Miles Cooley.
My name is Miles Cooley. I live at 30 Cambria Road West, Palm Beach Gardens, Pga National. Take this down? Okay.
And you've been sworn in.
Pardon me?
You've been sworn in?
I have been sworn in, yes. I'm a pickleball player. I won't repeat a lot of what Mike said, but I would reiterate the fact that we have pickleball courts, a lot of them at Russo Park and at Lilac. You can't get on those courts anymore. It is the fastest growing sport in the history of the United States, not just now, in the history of the United States. And we don't even have enough courts over there. Getting one more at Pga National is nice. We would like a lot more, but we will settle for one more. So I'm just here in favor of that proposal. Thank you.
Thank you, Miles. Judy Torrey, please come up, state your name and address for the record and whether you've been sworn in.
Yes, Judy Torrey. I've been sworn in. I've been living at PGA National on
Your address, please.
176. That's what I was going to say.
Okay.
I've been there for 21 years at 176 Old Meadow Way. Okay?
Have you been sworn in?
Yes, I've been sworn in. I said that at first. At any rate, the reason why I'd like to speak, first of all, thank you guys very much for giving me the opportunity to speak. And thank you very much for doing such a great job in your designing. The only thing that really hasn't been disclosed as far as the noise, it's great that the pools close at dusk, but the problem is they have events around these pools. And the speakers are tenfold loud. I cannot go to sleep at 9 o'clock at night. I'm at Patio Homes, one of the end buildings, and it's even further away than where the events are going to be on the Lazy River. And there has been more than once, probably a dozen times, I've had to call after 10 o'clock where they still continue on with the events and the noise. I don't think the foliage is enough for a noise buffer with the extra area and all the extra events to be taking place to keep it separate from the residential homes that are trying to sleep and being disturbed. The other thing is, since everybody seems to be going for commercial zoning on this, we're going to have a lot of impact as far as the value of our residential land, which it adversely affects all homeowners, number one. Number two is the traffic, okay? When you put 80 plus more hotels, rooms in a complex, you're gonna have more traffic and not the same traffic. And that's one thing that we're all going to be paying for in our homeowners' dues, is to keep these roads good for Honda Classic, for PGA National, etc. Okay, so any consideration that you may have in trying to help the residential area and buffering the noise would be greatly appreciated. It needs more than just foliage. It needs a buffer zone. Now, you don't live there, so you don't know, but you enjoy the events, which is great. And we all put up with the Honda Classic in our backyard, the golf carts, the fences, the other stuff that goes on for the charitable things. But have a little consideration for the homeowners that are here during this new project, which I think is going to be great. It's just those little odds and ends, like noise, is the main thing, and traffic.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Nancy Hennis, again, please state your name and address and whether you've been sworn in.
Hi, I'm Nancy Hennis. I live at 303 Old Meadow Way, Patio Homes. I'm another owner that's affected by this particular project. What we're concerned with is that 3 years ago, when the prior owner owned the property, there was quite a ruckus, we'll say, within PGA owners with the changes, because it was going to be a 4-story hotel complex that was going to be adjacent to another pool area. So when you pull up the footprint, and if you look at the PDF documents that I sent you in email, this footprint provides for enough land to not just put the lazy pool in, but in the future to put a hotel right behind that. So when you look at the conceptual drawing of the lazy pool to the northeast side of it, you have to imagine a 4-story hotel complex put in there, of which it will now overlook Patio Homes and will be within about 300 yards of that area. So what I'm asking is that there's nothing in this zone plan that says where any future buildings would be placed. And I think in the concept of approving this zoning change and the way we've talked about the lazy pool no longer having the big slide, those features should have been included in this proposal and reviewed so that we see what that footprint looks like. Or you take the current zoning and you make it a smaller footprint. But I understand the cost and the need for revitalization. I also say that it takes a lot of paperwork to get a zoning change. So rethink and at least put in noise abatement, which means that there will be events. In the prior discussion, there was supposed to be a wedding chapel down on the lake area. So there's going to be multiple uses for that lazy pool. What I'm saying is we have no way at this point to address that as owners when we have that noise. You can call the local police, but it just doesn't help us out. That's pretty much all I need to say. I believe that it is going to hurt our property values, although they made the study that said we would not have a traffic impact. Once you put the hotel in place and you now have more golfers, more families on that property, there's a 5-mile loop that goes around Pga National. The expense of that roadway is maintained by the owners of Patio Homes and Pga National. All of those things should have been included in this review of how we're going to look at a new zoning change of putting an expanded commercial facility inside a long-standing golf course community. And I think that's a detriment to the community. I don't think it's going to increase our lifetime. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Keith Ehrenheim. Is Keith out? I think Keith's outside.
Keith Ehrenheim, 180 Old Meadow Way. I have not been sworn in yet.
Thank you.
Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do. Can we reset my 3 minutes? My speech is exactly 3 minutes. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak. I have lived in the Patio Homes for over 10 years. Although the resort has removed the slide, the size of the pool and the lazy river was not reduced accordingly. In addition, I am against the rezoning of the golf course to commercial. As a retired attorney, I currently serve on 4 community boards and co-chaired the 3 professional golf events in Palm Beach County. When I purchased my unit, I paid a premium due to the golf course zoning and its effect as a buffer to the resort. A lessening of the buffer zone and close proximity to the pool and lazy river will result in a decrease of my property value due to what appraisers categorize as external obsolescence. The resort was fully aware of the zoning when they purchased. They should not be allowed to have it rezoned without a compelling reason, and no such reason has been forthcoming. I have grave concerns on the lack of communication in the process. Although the POAR committee and the city staff had input, at least 7 neighboring associations and numerous individuals contacted me to express their concerns that their concerns have not been addressed. This represents hundreds of members of our community. To the resort, your neighbors' questions still need to be answered. Has there been any soil testing to determine the levels of dangerous arsenic in the golf course soil being dug up? Are the practice and chipping greens being relocated? Where will the 81 hotel rooms be located? Will there be future requests to convert the golf course zoning to commercial? It is important to realize the resort came before the commissioners with unclean hands and acted in bad faith. They have misrepresented to the city that the POA Board of Governors approved their applications. In addition, the resort has placed the required signage at the entrances in such a way as they cannot be seen in all directions. Finally, all of the resort's alleged attempts to obtain community input were just presentations of what the resort intends to do. The resort failed to directly answer specific questions. This type of conduct begs one to wonder, what are they hiding, and what are their real intentions? My final concern is approving the applications as presented tonight may open the city to liability and litigation from homeowners due to creating external obsolescence and an unpermitted taking, leading to a decrease in property values with no corresponding benefits. Under these circumstances, I respectfully request the resort to reduce the size of the water feature and request the commissioners deny those parts of the application which extend the commercial zoning, thus reducing the buffer and sets the precedence of converting golf course to commercial zoning without a compelling reason. Thank you.
Thank you. Matt Moman.
At Moman, 25 Ironwood Way. I've been sworn in, and I've been a resident of Pga National for 23 years, more than any of these people in here so far. And my daughter, 14 years old, who a lot of these people know who she is, we're on that property every day, okay, for like the last 8 years. And it's like we have the front row seat to a resort, a destination spot, a place that has a new car smell. It's just amazing. And with that being said, we knew what we were signing up for when we became members. We knew that the tiles on our house could get cracked because of a flying golf ball. I'm not here to talk negative. I'm here to talk positive. I'm here to support Pga National Resort because it's all about the big picture. It's all about forward thinking. It's all about our economy, our city. It's not about noise. Like I said, I'm there every day, and I don't hear anything. You got maintenance guys, you got golfers, you got weddings. Again, it's a destination spot, and this is what we all signed up for as residents. And so, with that being said, we're the #1 fan, without a doubt. And evidence does defeat doubt because we've been there for 23 years. My daughter's been there her whole entire life, and again, every day we're out there unless we're out competing in another different, events and whatnot. So with that being said, again, expansion is great. Status quo isn't. Status quo is not good for us. So, again, it's all about taking advantage of what's before us. The new ownership, they want to continue to add to, and that's what's happening. We have 6 golf courses, 1 off property, 5 on property. One of those is a 9-hole par 3, which kind of meets the mecca of golf in Pinehurst, which is the cradle, okay? Again, you're bringing in families, you're creating memories. It's going to stir up more business for restaurants and local economy, go on and so, but this whole noise thing is ridiculous. I mean, we're on a lot of land, And we're talking about a lazy river, hence lazy, okay? And in the members club, I mean, look, we need those improvements. These improvements are happening, and all I ask is for a yes across the board, because we're not going anywhere, and neither is my daughter. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Roman. Karen Cantor.
Good evening, my name is Karen Cantor. I live at 100 Eagleton Lane in Palm Beach Gardens, PGA National. I've been here as a resident the shortest time of anybody, 5 weeks, and, and I have been sworn in. I'm just here to speak in favor of the improvements that have been proposed by PGA. I play pickleball, and already I found that there's not enough courts for me and my husband to be able to get on at a reasonable time. And the other improvements, I think, are the kinds of things that drew us to PGA National in the first place. So in order to maintain and continue this as a prime and top facility, I urge your support. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Cantor. Welcome. Nancy Weissnick.
Good evening. Nancy Weissnick, 609 Masters Way, and I have been sworn in.
Thank you.
Once again, my name is Nancy Weissnick. I am president of Eagleton Point HOA, and I want to thank all of you for giving all of us an opportunity to speak. I would like to begin by saying thank you to the City Council, Ken Tuma, with urban design, and all the other individuals involved in the decision-making. I'm grateful on behalf of my community that you listened to our concerns and acted upon it. We all appreciate the fact that we were able to come to common grounds on the implementation of the water slide, and it is a tremendous accomplishment to have Brookfield and the residents of PGA National working together as partners going forward. The key to success is open communications and transparency between both parties that makes everything work, and I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Weissnick. Okay, that was the last card. If we would like staff input, is this the time, or do I have to close the hearing and do that during discussion?
You can, if you want staff input, you can continue staff input, but I mean, if you're complete with your public hearing, you should probably close this portion of the public hearing and then go to staff.
And then go to staff, okay. Well, we'll do that with staff. Okay, so I'm going to close the hearing and first say that in 2004, when the extra rooms were added onto the plan, none of this council was here, but as I read in the statement for the quasi-judicial hearing, as a council, we have to vote on what is before us tonight, not what could come before us in the future. And that is not part of what is on the plan tonight and is legally not allowed to be entered into our decision when we vote. With that, Natalie, could you clarify? I think there is some misunderstanding about what is actually the zoning is actually being changed, that it is not the entire resort zoning that is being changed, that is a 2-acre piece that's actually broken up into 3 smaller pieces that we are changing the zoning on?
I'd be happy to, and we have an exhibit that shows the small portions that I think would speak volumes to that Samantha can bring up. And while we're on that subject, I'd also be happy to address the subject of future entitlements, because I think it's important to clarify that the applicant has chosen to provide for a lazy river where previously the future expansion of the hotel was approved by this council. And the applicant is legally able to retain those rights for those future rooms as they are vested entitlements. But it does not allow the applicant to bypass the city's process for future site planning, which extensely involves public input. So if the applicant wants to, and if the applicant even chooses one day, and that really is an indefinite. They may never, and there could be all sorts of other scenarios where the applicant, may reconsider or may consider a comprehensive revision to the hotel. There's lots of opportunities on the existing site where the applicant may choose to be able to apply those future entitlements, but they have to go through the entire city's process. So that involves a DRC review, that involves public hearings, Planning and Zoning Commission, public notice, and City Council. So if and when the applicant ever chooses to move forward with those entitlements, that process will have to occur. As it relates to the zoning question, Samantha, would you like to walk the, thank you.
Could you also explain before Samantha does that, what commercial zoning means for that area and what is allowed under that?
Yeah, as I think Samantha is pulling up a map, and the reason why the reason why the commercial zoning is being requested is just dealing with the permitted use. The resort core uses are permitted within the commercial, or required to be within the commercial designation. The existing resort has a commercial designation, so for internal consistency, the requested changes have been provided. It's very important to note that this applicant has voluntarily restricted the commercial zoning and land use to the note that's included in Ordinance 13 to the specific uses that are already vested. So it does not open up commercial zoning and land use zoning. It is limited to the note that will be included on the future land use map and has been included in Ordinance 13 to the actual program that is the resort course program, more specifically set forth in Ordinance 13.
Thank you. Samantha?
Yes, so as you can see on this map, in red is the resort parcel on the left. The red is the commercial zoning. So it's currently commercial land use and zoning and surrounded by golf in green. On the right, you can see 3 small areas being added to the resort parcel, again, for consistency. In order to add that land to the commercial resort, it needs to be changed to commercial. So on the southwest side, where the lazy river is proposed, that area is about 1.5 acre. Down by the members club, there's a 0.02 acre parcel, and on the east, or excuse me, on the west side is 0.5 acre, roughly. And again, the change of land use and zoning for these areas is for consistency with the existing commercial resort. And as Natalie mentioned, I can show you the development program, which she mentioned is part of Ordinance 13. You can see the existing uses, of course, remain. The approved uses, the vested uses that have not been built also remain on the books. And the only additions are accessory in nature. The golf teaching facility, which would be relocated, the guardhouse, which is new, and the accessory pool buildings. Other than that, everything else is existing or approved and limited.
Thank you. I hope that's a little bit clearer on exactly what the zoning questions that we'll be voting on deal with. So at this point, I'd like to get a motion and a second to approve.
I'll make a motion to approve Ordinance 13, 2021 on second reading.
Second.
Carl seconds. I'm going to bring it back for discussion. I'll start this way this time.
Oh, sure.
Chelsea, would you like to start?
Yes, so just to clarify, the areas that will have expanded commercial zoning are what we are working on tonight. Anything further would go through City Council again, and we know the process of going through Palm Beach Gardens to go through something and what we got here. The one thing I will say, what I've heard is talk of being better neighbors and more transparency. I have done a really, I think, diligent job of keeping track of all the different correspondence. And if this was in my backyard and I had gotten notice about it in February of 2020, I wouldn't have waited till even more. Okay. So my only thing would be going forward, as more changes at the resort, I hope that, now especially Ken, please, you obviously is doing a great job with this and hopefully will continue to do so for our residents, to keep communicating, an open communication, two-way communication with our residents as things change, because we had a wonderful example of Shopcore coming in and doing downtown Palm Beach Gardens, and they worked with the landmark again and again and again and again until everybody was happy. And that has happened now, but it kind of had to happen in a turbo way. So I'd love to, going forward, really encourage the residents to pay attention a little more to what's happening, and for the POAs to make sure the residents are getting the information, so that our staff has done an extraordinary job doing what they needed to do. And I would like to support them in being able to continue to do so. So that would be the last thing I would like to say. And I do think you guys will probably ask a little more about zoning, and if not, then I'll come back to it. Okay.
To add just quickly what Chelsea just mentioned about the HOAs, if there are internal problems with your HOAs not getting the information to the residents that is presented to them, that is an internal problem for the communities to deal with your HOAs. And there are ways to change the people who sit on those HOAs. So you need to be aware of what was presented when and who knew what when, but that is an internal problem. That is not a city problem. So, Mark?
Well, thank you. First of all, I'm actually pretty excited to see all these people sitting in this room. We haven't had more than 2 people outside of that side of the room for the past 2 years. So welcome back to City Council and the chambers. All joking aside, if the representatives from Brookfield, could you please stand? Thank you. I've never met you, and I want to thank you for being here tonight. You can sit down. But the reason I wanted to just say hello, Chelsea just brought up the point about Shopcore and downtown. Pga National is the most important property, in my mind, in the city of Palm Beach Gardens because of the Honda Classic and what it brings to the city, the resort, the family atmosphere that surrounds it. And, when you think of Palm Beach Gardens, you think of golf, you think of PGA. So your property is really, really important to all of us in this city, not just those that live in the area, including the Honda Classic and all the people that, as Carl said, look forward to being a part of that event here. So we take it very seriously, as you can tell, and obviously the people that are here are taking it very seriously. So I want to thank you for picking Urban Kilday Design, is that right, Ken? Because you picked a group of people that really understand the city. And I think the key to how our city works so well is that those entities that purchase properties or want to do business in the city pick people in our city that live here, that know the area, that are part of the community, because they care as much as anybody about the success of the property, the success of the project, and the success that that's going to bring to the community as a whole. So when you guys first came into town, I know COVID was in the way and we didn't have a chance to meet. I encourage you to stay engaged with the council, with the city staff, with the residents, because we care so much about that property. I do live in PGA as well, and we want to make sure that it's not just done right, but that everybody feels the same sense of community that it brings. And I want to thank Ken. He kind of got stuck with this project right towards the end, even though he is the boss, so he was always responsible for everything that happens in there, and I know how that feels. But he really did a wonderful job reaching out to the residents, reaching out to all of us, communicating strongly with all of you about what is needed. And ultimately, Ken, I want to thank you for doing that. I know there's always concerns about what happens when something is going to change in my backyard, and what does this mean for the future, and is this going to lead to problems that I don't know about? But we are here to make sure that our residents know as much as we can about the value of what's coming, and we're going to protect everybody as best we can. It doesn't mean that there might not be a party one night and there's going to be a bunch of kids screaming and yelling, and you might hear it in your back patio, but maybe that's a good thing too, sometimes listening to kids yell and scream, because that means that people are having a good time. I think this is a fantastic addition to the PGA Resort. I do not want to see this delay. I want to make sure that we can pass this tonight. I'm hoping we can do it in unison to show strong support for the future of our resort and my home resort. So I'm fully supportive of everything that you guys have done, and I'm grateful for everybody's input.
Thank you. Carl?
I don't think I can top you, too. But, yeah, no, I'm just going to be Carl. Listen, you guys elect us. And the cool thing about that is we all live here. Now, I know I've probably been here of upwards of 40 years, and I bet you, if we were to include Marcy, we probably have 120 years between all of us, maybe more. So, and when we get into I hate to use the word politics, but when we get into running for city council, we're hypersensitive, and we all are, to our community's needs. So I think if we have a noise issue, ma'am, we need to be sensitive to that, Ken, and, and Natalie, and make sure that, you can sleep at 10 o'clock at night. And, but I like the project, and I forgot your name, Mr. in Blue, but yes, sorry.
Matt.
I didn't write it down, I apologize. And what you said kind of nails it. Palm Beach Gardens is becoming, it'll never be Miami or Broward, I promise. But it's really becoming a destination in large part of the Honda Classic and everything else we provide. 80 acres of soccer fields and you name it. So in order to make PGA National grow and become this great thing that it's been for a long time, it's important we keep it moving forward while being sensitive to our community's needs. I don't agree that it would lower your property value. If you look at your property value over the last many years, because you live in Palm Beach Gardens, it's gone up a lot to the tune, it's getting exhausting to pay your county taxes. But your property value is going up. So I'm going to support it as is. I support Mark and to make sure that that we get this going so it's done prior to our biggest event of the year, Christmas in February. So I think it's a great project, and I think once it's done, it will enhance PGA National as a whole. So thank you, and thank you for everybody coming in and saying, because we get emails, we get phone calls, and like Mark said, I mean, we're really trying to think about putting all the seats back in here because we want the county to interact with us, so you guys know what you paid for, us five, right? Thank you.
Thanks, Carl. Getting to the plans that we now have took a joint effort between the community, the applicant, their representatives, city staff, myself, and my fellow council members. It was a trying process, I'm sure Ken will agree, which in the end resulted in a plan with concessions on both sides. And I want to thank all who were involved, including the residents of PGA National and the golf club members who let their concerns be known, and those who are here tonight. Those concessions, the applicant has withdrawn the water slide. It was a key feature of their redevelopment project, but under intense pressure from the community club and council, they realized the importance of being a good neighbor and working with the community. Something that wasn't discussed fully is that even though the slide is gone, the landscaping enhancements all remain. That is a really thick, big buffer around that pool area that doesn't exist around the other pool area. So this pool's more insulated from noise than the other pools actually is at this point. And as addressed in condition 19, which was part of the packet that was sent out, Our city forester has say over whether those trees and landscaping meet the desired intent of a noise and visual barrier, and he can require the applicant to make additions or changes to the heights or density if he thinks it's needed. There's no access to the new pool area via the golf cart path, only through the hotel. So from a safety perspective, the water, alligators, golf carts are no longer a potential safety issue. While I understand that there is still some disagreement between the golf members and the applicant with respect to the plans for the golf course, the issue of access to a restroom for the golfers directly from the golf path has been rectified, and a new golf teaching facility is being proposed, as well as the driving range is being retained. One good thing about everybody being here tonight, and I echo Mark's sentiment, it's really good to be able to look at people again. It is an understanding that as council members, we often walk a very fine line between what is good for our community as a whole and what a developer or business owner has a right to determine with respect to their business operating plan. That line was definitely there for this project. And it's important for the residents to understand that when it comes to making sure a project fits with our comp plan for the city, our safety issues, our code ordinances, and our quality of life issues for our residents, these are things that as a council we have to consider when we vote whether or not to approve a project. But those things that directly relate to a company's business or operations plan outside of the issues I mentioned is not within the jurisdiction of the council when approving a project. When there are boards and management companies that work with the business and have to report to a business, solving differences relating to a business plan or model, which would include what the company does with its golf courses or with its hotels and other facilities, solving those differences fall on the shoulders of the boards and the applicant. So I understand that the golf board and members have issues related to the golf course and some that aren't even related to this project. And I really hope that they'll be able to work together like everyone has to this point to come to an amicable solution with respect to those issues that will benefit all involved. Pga Nationals, my home. We moved here 34 years ago. The Pga National Resort property, it was a Marriott at the time, was a huge source of pride, fun for our entire community and my family. With the addition of the Honda Classic, a tournament that gives so much back to local charities and financially to our local businesses, we're now internationally known as well. So I am proud of the community that we still are, and proud to be part of the process in keeping the Pga National Resort the premier golf and family destination it has always strived to be. And for those reasons, I will also be supporting the project. So at this time, I think we need a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes 4-0. Okay.
Is that you?
Okay. Do we have to read? We have to read 14 and go on from there, right? Okay. Will the clerk please read the title?
Ordinance 14, 2021, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Palm Beach Gardens, Florida, rezoning certain real property, such property being comprised of 2.08 acres in size, more or less, and located within Pga National immediately adjacent to the Pga Resort Core at the southern terminating end of Avenue of the Champions. approximately 0.50 miles south of PGA Boulevard, providing that these parcels of real property that are more particularly described herein shall be rezoned from Planned Community Development PCD overlay with an underlying golf uses to Planned Unit Development PUD, overlay with underlying hotel, recreational, and incidental facilities related thereto, providing that the zoning map of the City of Palm Beach Gardens be amended accordingly, providing a conflicts clause, a severability clause, and authority to codify, providing an effective date and for other purposes. Resolution 60, 2021, and Resolution 61, 2021 are companion items to Ordinance 13, 2021, and Ordinance 14, 2021, and will require council action. Resolution 60, 2021, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Palm Beach Gardens, Florida, amending the PGA National Planned Community Development PCD Master Plan located east of the Florida Turnpike between PGA Boulevard and North Lake Boulevard, is more particularly described herein, to permit approximately 2.08 acres to be redesignated from the golf courses portion to the PGA National Hotel and Clubs portion of the plan, providing an effective date and for other purposes. Resolution 61, 2021, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Palm Beach Gardens, Florida, amending the site plan for the PGA Resort Core Plan Unit Development PUD, located within PGA National at the southern terminating end of Avenue of the Champions, approximately 0.50 miles south of PGA Boulevard, to expand the PUD boundary by approximately 2.08 acres, modify existing facilities, and introduce new amenities, providing waivers, providing conditions of approval, providing an effective date, and for other purposes.
Okay, I'm going to open the hearing.
And just before you close it, I'm going to incorporate all the comments and testimony from Ordinance 13 into Ordinance 14.
Including the ex partes and
Yes, ma'am.
Marzi's. Okay. Do we need a presentation on all these? No, we've had everything? We're good. Any questions? We are.
No. Yes.
All right, then can I get a motion and a second to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve Ordinance 14, 2021 on the second reading.
And I'll make a motion to, go ahead, second, I'll second then, sorry.
All right, now you can, the clerk has already read the title for Resolution 60, so, oh, we need a vote?
We're on Ordinance 14. You're going to call the question on 14.
We called the question. All right, I got a motion and a second. I'm bringing it back for discussion.
None.
Hearing no further discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion passes 4-0. Clerk has already read the title for Resolution 60. I'm going to open the hearing.
And we're going to incorporate all the comments and ex partes as well as the testimony offered on Ordinance 13 into Resolution 60.
Okay.
To only 60.
There's no additional staff presentation. I have no comment cards at this point. I'm going to close the hearing. Can I get a motion and a second to approve?
I'd like to make a motion to approve Resolution 60, 2021.
I'll second.
I'm bringing it back. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 4-0. Resolution 61. Clerk has already read the title. I'm going to open the hearing.
We're going to incorporate all the comments and testimony and ex parte disclosures from Ordinance 13 into the public hearing for Resolution 61.
Again, we've already had staff presentation. I have no more comment cards on this. Can I get a motion and a second to approve?
I'll make a motion on Resolution 61, 2021.
I'll second.
Bring it back for discussion.
Negative.
Then, hearing no further discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion, any opposed? Motion passes 4-0.
Thank you.
2.5 years of work.
Now Ken can get some sleep. Welcome back, Marcy. Okay. Will the clerk please read the title for Resolution 69?
Resolution 69, 2021, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Palm Beach Gardens, Florida, prohibiting the use of balloons, glitter, and confetti products on public property, directing city administration to negotiate no balloons, glitter, or confetti products in applicable city contracts
and encouraging all residents and businesses within the city to reduce or eliminate the use of balloons, glitter, and confetti products, providing an effective date for the purposes.
I have one comment card on Resolution 69. Will Mr. Evans please approach the podium, state your name and address, and whether you've been sworn in? Oh, it's not a quasi judicial,
It's
just name and
non-quasi.
address.
My name's Edward Evans. I reside at 1901 Military Trail, West Palm Beach. Thank you for having me this evening, and yes, I have been sworn in. Good evening, Mayor and council members. My name's Edward, like I said. I'm the store team leader for Party City in West Palm Beach. I'm here to speak on the resolution related to balloons, specifically Section 3 of the resolution authorizing the city manager to prohibit the use of balloons, and Section 5, which encourages the reduction of the sale and use of balloons by residents and businesses within the city. We recognize the good intention behind the proposal and share the priority of environmental responsibility, but believe that the resolution will negatively affect retailers in your area and may not be supported by most of your consumer constituents. Balloons create joy, even more so during a pandemic. And they are an affordable alternative to decorating and celebrating events. It is important to note that balloons have not been mentioned in any of the top 10 lists for cleanup, including studies from 2013 to 2021 form the official source of the U.S. National Marine Debris Monitoring Program. Also, 815 cleanup studies in 2021 from Surfsider, a nonprofit grassroots organization dedicated to the protection and enjoyment of our world's oceans, waves, and beaches. I have copies of a balloon fact sheet. If you don't have them, I can pass them out later. That I can't even see this. Available for information on these studies if you're interested. This same balloon fact sheet was emailed to you yesterday. Rather than banning the use of balloons, we advocate the expanded consumer education efforts, recycling programs, educating consumers on the importance of preventing balloons being released, changes behavior, and raises awareness of the part we all play in the protection of the environment. Party City is a champion of proper use and disposal of balloons, including weights, weighting them down, and not intentionally releasing them outdoors. Retailers recognize the importance of environmental uses, and Party City launched a balloon recycling program pilot.
Okay, I'm going to have to cut you off because your 3 minutes is up.
That's fine.
So, thank you, Mr. Evans. All right. I have no further cards on this. Can I get a motion and a second to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve Resolution 69, 2021.
Can I get a second?
I'll make the second. I want to have the conversation.
Okay. And I will bring it back for discussion. I'm going to start with Chelsea.
Sure. So thank you so much for coming. I appreciate your words. Palm Beach Gardens, as you know, we're committed to sustainable growth. Our city wants to continue to promote new development, mobility efforts, but we also remain conscious of the potential impact of our environment by these things. So our economy is driven by local natural resources, which attract businesses and visitors, and families to our beautiful city. We cannot risk further damaging or depleting these resources when other viable options readily exist. Also, the state has preempted our local rights on countless decisions where our local voices are no longer able to make local choices. These 3 items may seem small: confetti, balloons, and glitter, but they're the last vestiges of the decisions that a local city can actually make in council in Florida. They have not been preempted. While many things that are governed at the state level, we here have the ability and responsibility to manage these few small things which can make a large and meaningful impact for generations to come. And I'm not going to show you all the gory pictures that were sent to us via email asking us to please remove these items from our city property. The more precious powers that we have as a city are our home rule powers and the ability to enforce policy here at home without state approval. This is really the last we can do. I believe we're up to over 30 municipalities in Florida who've already done this. We know these are harmful items in our environment. We get images from golfers all the time with balloons that have been littered all over the waterways and entangling animals. As a city, we can make a statement that we are mindful of this and would like to reduce the number of harmful pollutants and threats to our nature. Like I said, they are small pieces of small pieces of plastic material. They're not biodegradable. When they're outside, it's difficult to collect for disposal, becomes litter, and becomes a long-term health and environmental issue. Yes, balloons can be managed. They are lightweight, though, and escape collection and do become litter, and can float on water through the air for a far distance from the site of their original use. And for this reason, that's why they are common. They may create joy for a moment, but they can kill animals. They can hurt our environment. And there are so many wonderful, creative ways any business could change things and make things better. I'm very familiar with the balloon fact sheet, and for every fact on that fact sheet, there's other fact sheets that say that fact sheet's not true. So let's make a collaborative decision together to become creative and find other ways to make joy that won't hurt the environment. We have an opportunity to do something that would change something so small that would have massive effect, and also make a statement that here we do care about the environment in Palm Beach Gardens. And I understand that people need a beautiful way to mark important events. Like I said, there are lots of other suggestions for confetti and glitter and balloons that don't cause ecological harm. And it's just like you said, public education. So we'll just educate the publics to maybe not do that. Maybe be a person out there who changes it and makes it better instead of just falling into what's already been done. This is a resolution. It's not an ordinance. An ordinance is law. This is our policy. It could be our policy and how our city council feels the city should manage these things. And we're encouraging the reduction of sale and use of balloons, glitter, and confetti. This resolution doesn't ban it. All right, so before it turns into a ban, let's think of it as an education. By not having it on public property, our city is saying, no, we actually don't want to do that. We want to find creative ways to take care of our environment. And that is why I'd like to encourage my council members to have their questions and pass Resolution 69 of 2021. Thank you.
Thank you, Chelsea. Marcy, you've been quiet for a while, so I'm going to you next.
Okay. Thank you. Chelsea, I love your heart and your compassion for people and the environment for sure. And I'm glad that people are here paying attention to our business at hand, having seen so many people here today, and I applaud you for coming as well. I think we've received more emails on slides and balloons than we have on any other subject this past year. Except what?
Term limits.
Yes, we've received a lot on that as well. I do feel that balloons, confetti, and glitter are a hazard to the environment. I don't see any reason that that's not, along with many other things that we find on the streets. But as I think our mayor very eloquently said not that long ago, there's a fine line, and where does government start and where does government stop? And I also feel with enforcement, some of the stuff in this resolution, and I read it and I've contemplated it and I spoke to people about it. I spent a lot of time on this because I know it's a very delicate and serious matter. But it does put our city manager in some cases, and our police, in my opinion, in a kind of an awkward situation when they're at a park, when one person wants, a birthday party is in a birthday party and balloons are there, and what does the police go and say? No, you can't have balloons there. Or our city manager gets somebody that says we want. This is the reason that we want balloons at this event in the city community center, and then he has to make a decision and pick one over another. I think that's a little bit awkward with the language that it says in here. I also feel that we should be educating the proper disposal. I feel that we should include some education material possibly in our city magazine. And I feel that as a business person, I morally can't ask a retailer to not sell or to reduce the sale of something that is legally sold. I feel like that's really a tough line. So, and honestly, I've spent some time in the ICU of a hospital very recently, and ICU, PACU, and CCU, they don't allow flowers. It seems allow balloons because flowers are just, and maybe Rochelle knows the reason, but I'm guessing it has to do with the patient's health and flowers. So unfortunately, we have a hospital here, and I feel like reducing that, it would be tough for that as well. I'm happy to support something, but I feel like we need to eliminate Section 5 from it. I would strike that and strike the section in regards to the city manager, and maybe add some more language about encouragement. So maybe we could reword it to where it's encouraging and educating versus what it says now, if that's possible.
Mark?
And I'd like to hear from the rest of the council.
Mark? Yeah, welcome.
Well, yeah. I thank you for coming. I'm a small business owner too, so I understand the concern of the small business community because we are the backbone of America, and I certainly wouldn't want to do anything to hurt you or any other small business in the city. I do. First of all, this is a resolution. This is not an ordinance. Resolutions are policy decisions that we make that don't have a whole lot of standing, so I don't think we're putting the police in a position to enforce something. We've had other issues where people have come to us asking for ordinances when it came to gun sales, when it came to animals in circuses, when it came to conversion therapy, and my comment has always been pretty consistent. We can't enforce something at the city if it's not enforced at a higher level, which is why I've been more supportive of resolutions, because resolutions are not forcing us or forcing our staff to go out and do something that is potentially in opposition to what the state law states. So this is not an ordinance, this is a resolution. But we have an economic and sustainability committee here in the chamber, and their job is to come to not just the city of Palm Beach Gardens, but all the communities and all the cities in North Palm Beach County with recommendations. Last night we had our first of many holiday parties, which was really early in the year. But, a couple of my friends are very conservative guys, but they're also big-time outdoorsmen and fishermen. And we were talking a little bit about the Ryan Rogers case, and we were talking about, they asked, what are you guys doing tomorrow? So, Pga National and balloons and glitter. And they both stopped and looked at me and goes, every time we go fishing, we see a turtle or we see a fish or something with a balloon or something stuck in the back of their, and that wasn't just balloons, it was just debris. And that kind of hit me as well. Kind of shocked me to think that these guys who, we get along very well, but we don't get along politically all the time, they were kind of very much in support of moving this resolution forward. So I understand the concern. I don't think it's going to have any impact. I would hope that Party City and all the other retailers out there are going to look at this and say, well, you know what, we've got other things that we can sell. that can maybe give the same joy as a balloon. And again, that doesn't mean that I can't go and buy balloons and come to my home and have a birthday party. It just means that we're discouraging that on city property. So, I really respect Chelsea for her passion on this, and I'm going to support you.
Carl?
Edward, thank you. You're the only one out of probably, 150 emails we've gotten over the last couple months on this topic to stand up here and say your piece. So 25 minutes ago, I said I was hypersensitive to the community, and that's true. I'm not hypersensitive on this. I get to lean on Chelsea being sensitive on this, and I respect that. If it was an ordinance, I wouldn't be for it at all, period. I do agree with educating the community on, and I'm also super pro-choice. Educating the community to make a choice whether, I'm going to a Christmas party Saturday, and our community, and I brought in, we're also a big veteran community, and we really support our veterans. So I think on my mind, we have a handicap field behind us too. Balloons are a part of our life, and all these things are. So I would rather take the approach of education and choice than an ordinance saying, no, you can't do it. I have no idea how many balloons are sold a year. So it is a part of our economy, on some level. So I am going to support it because above all of this, I'm probably as big as an animal lover than anybody. And to see an animal suffer, it really just breaks my heart, So, we will let the city manager do what he does. Like Marcy says, I probably would not be in favor of law enforcement coming to one of our city parks and telling a picnic birthday party of a 10-year-old, you can't have balloons here, I'm sorry, you have to leave. I would not like that. But I will support it because it's a bigger picture, and I appreciate the education aspect of it. Like everybody says, it's not an ordinance, because that's where government stops and council, right at the resolution. An ordinance would be government controlling you, and a resolution is saying, like we've used tonight, the word neighborly, let's look at this. You have a choice. The council's in support of less usage of these products because they're harmful to their environment. And, that's where I sit. So I appreciate Chelsea charging at this for so long, and I'm going to support her for it.
Thanks, Carl. I'm glad Mark brought up the Chamber Sustainability Committee. As past chair of that committee, we work with people all the time who deal with this on a daily basis and actually see what's out there and the damage that it causes. I do want to point out that this is an administrative prohibition on city property. Most of the events that this would involve happen outside. Most of the parties would involve the park, outside at the rec center, and that's where the most damage is done. It wouldn't necessarily involve law enforcement at all, because as I see it, and as I read this, it would be part of the permit process. When the permits are given to use an outdoor facility for the city, then it's part of what you have to do. Just like you can't bring in alcohol or you can't bring in something else, you cannot bring in confetti or balloons. With what Marcy said about the fine line, I agree there's a fine line. That's the resolution versus the ordinance. I think sometimes you just have to stand up and be the change maker. If we want to see change, at some point, we have to be the people that effectuate that change. Education is important, and I think that should be incorporated. I'm fine with dropping the last part of the sentence that says, except where such use may be approved by the city manager or designee when prudent, and just leave it as the city manager to administratively prohibit the use on all public property, which administratively prohibit I take to mean part of the permitting process going forward on city property. As far as a hospital, that's not city property, so it is because of bringing in germs in the water and the mold and all of that, but that would not apply here.
Well, it does in section 5, because we're discouraging.
Well,
That's the only one that I have an issue
Well,
with.
the
is
discouraging,
section
though,
5.
goes along with the chamber and the sustainability recommendations and with education. If you want to say, add in education to discourage and educate,
I don't think that word is going to change.
It says
I don't
encourage.
think I don't think it changes anything
We're
either.
not going to make Max change a word.
So, I mean, I think it's this resolution's a reflection of our commitment as a council to do as much as we can, and I would like to talk to Paul LeKind further about his suggestions on working with businesses to voluntarily lower temperatures, to take that a step further. I think that can be done too. So I would be in support of this at this time too. So,
I mean, I totally understand, and like I said, the only thing that I had an issue with is, I wanted to ask, first of all, our city manager, when it comes to administratively prohibiting the use, I guess that would be on city property, and
it says on city property.
Yeah, and that part I understand. But when the city council encourages a reduction of sale and use of all balloons, glitter, and confetti products by all residents and businesses within the city, that's the one that I would go along with this if we struck that section.
It's
On that piece of paper.
right. It's still choice on their part. We're encouraging them, but it's still their choice as a business. We're not taking away their right to do that.
Can I just ask one quick question? And I do want to leave section 3 because except when such use may be approved by the city manager or designee when deemed prudent. You know, we had the Miracle League and we had the big plastic bats that were balloon bats, I think, and they were running through.
Right.
Is that a balloon?
Yes, that's a balloon.
So,
Yes.
you know.
Or maybe not.
No, that's not a balloon.
It doesn't
Not a
float. I
balloon?
think she's
Okay.
talking
Not a
about
balloon.
ones that
Okay.
are like
Because that.
Helium.
You don't, okay,
Yeah,
all right.
it's a
Thank you for
helium
clarification.
latex-
Appreciate
Let's
it.
not ban helium.
It's a latex balloon.
Leave helium alone.
Well, it's plastic, so yeah, it may be bad plastic, but it's not part of balloons.
Kept them and played with them. Cute.
Yeah, it's not.
I'm waiting to call the vote.
Good question.
So we are going to call the vote. That's
no
that's
changes.
what- No changes. No changes. We're gonna call the vote. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Me. Opposed.
Motion passes 4-1.
Thank you, Edward.
You're welcome. I would just like to say one thing, even though, and I understand everything that you said tonight, and I agree with pretty much all of it. But we at Party City, all of our latex balloons are biodegradable, so they do break down and they do not harm the environment.
Thank you for that.
All right?
We will have to check.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Oh, my God. No, I'm just a Chelsea supporter.
Okay, so real quick, we have items of council interest, and the first thing is, I want to wish. Items of council interest, so first on items of council interest, happy birthday, Natalie. Second item of council interest, congratulations to Marcy and Carl. On your reappointment to the council. Anyone else? And then we have the marine industries. Yeah.
We're going to go on after that because I have a statement I want to make to you guys.
Okay, hold on. It's, coming, I lost my place here. Yes, we have to discuss the marine industries. So, Marine Industries had asked me to be a judge at the boat parade in West Palm on Saturday night. I am out of town, so I punted to the vice mayor. Vice mayor is also out of town. So we thought it was only fair.
Christmas party Saturday, so I already have that in the sunshine.
So you are not there, so it's Mark and Marcy.
Have fun.
Who's the youngest one on the council, Marcy?
I don't know.
You're it.
Okay.
So we're
happy to be the youngest one on the
okay with
council.
Marcy going to be judged for the Christmas parade.
Yes.
Okay,
Sounds
good job.
to me.
All right, Carl, you said you had something.
Yeah, this isn't so happy though. On the slide, whether it be legal or not legal, I don't appreciate the way that, and I appreciate you guys.
Slide, are we?
The slide on Pga National, the way it came about, that the application was changed over phone conversations, I don't think is, although probably legal, I don't think it's appropriate because you took away my vote and a large part of the community's vote who were advocates for the slide. Because it was conversations between you three and Ken that removed the slide from the application.
They were always,
and I was in the blind.
every conversation was always individual. I had no conversations
together.
with anybody
I'm not,
else.
oh no, I said between you three and Ken.
Yeah, individually, though,
Understood.
on our
I'm
own.
not saying you did it collectively, but I think the way that we remove things, and we could have removed it while we here debated it in the sunshine, because in the past, with the last council, and it was a big thing when I came on board, was backdoor conversations. And it just kind of didn't sit with me that I knew nothing about nothing until Ken called me yesterday, said, I'm not going to be able to have the slide. I'm like, we had council support 1 month ago, 4-0 for the slide. We had community support. We had staff support. We had P&Z support. So what changed?
Hold on, I was not in support of the slide.
You voted for it.
I voted for the zoning changes to allow the things to go forward. I did not vote for Resolution 60 and 61, which is where the slide was actually
Nobody
put in
did.
place.
Nobody
All
voted.
We voted for.
We couldn't
Well, you
vote for
voted
them.
the zoning changes.
We voted for
We
the
didn't
zoning
we didn't
changes.
vote
None
for
of
the slide
the
itself.
slide didn't come up until tonight for the first time. They were companion pieces that we voted on tonight for the first time.
It's very, very
So
clear about my
after the last meeting and we did the first zoning changes, when we started to hear from the community, I immediately reached out to Ken. I said, Ken, you have to talk to these people. You have to mitigate their concerns, and we have to make an amenable change. I did not ask him to remove the slide. I never told him to remove the slide. I never said I wouldn't vote for it if the slide.
Was a huge part of our presentation, and we specifically spoke about, and I'm not arguing with you guys, I love you guys, but we specifically spoke about the sound barrier, the green space, or whatever we're calling it, preserve, and how much the slide was going to be covered up, and we all voted on it. It had staff support, and it had P&Z support. My point is that I think going forward, we have the ability to change things on the dais like we have with charging stations, landscaping, and I just think, and they were upset that they had to pull the slide off. Pissed is the word.
They did not have the time for us to
Not
bring
true.
that
If
back
we would have voted for
up
the
here.
slide, they would have ran with it.
But they did not have the time to, I don't know that I would have voted for the slide coming back tonight with it. I had to take into account, now, going back to past votes and things, there have been many times when you've come forward and said, I've gotten 100 letters from all the residents, and I have to listen to what the residents said, and I'm not going to be able to vote for this, or I'm not going to be able to go on board with this. And that's basically what happened here. after hearing from everybody and what their concerns were, even though I know my kids would have enjoyed the slide, I realized that the golfers and the people who live there, not so much, and they're part of the community, and I dealt one-on-one. And like I said, I never asked them to remove it. I said, you have to work this out with them, and then he came back to me and said, you're getting a new plan. Oh, I heard from city that we got a new plan, and then the slide was removed.
No,
So
it's
there
not
was
the way
nothing
the
backdoor.
appearance
There was
of it-
nothing backdoor.
The appearance of it, I didn't care for. So however you want to change it up, it had staff support, it had council support, it had community support, it had P&Z support. So, and then all of a sudden magically it got removed.
That's not
It
the
comes
case.
all this way,
It's not
hold
the
on, it comes
truth.
all this way 199 yards to get approved after 2.5 years, and then gets pulled at the last moment. That's stinky.
Max, can you address the fact that
be
this
honest.
was done the way that
Nobody
it's
said it
supposed
was
to be?
illegal.
It's supposed to be done, though? This is the only options we have.
You spoke to them individually. To my knowledge, there was no sunshine law issue. What the council decides, how you guys decide to handle your business as it relates to citizen input and emails and how you want to resolve those issues is for the five of you to determine on your own. You know, I don't have a vote or a say in this as far as what was happening and whatever, so I'm not going to involve myself in this discussion beyond the fact that I think that as it relates to the law, there was nothing, but based on what I understand, there was nothing illegal done. Whether or not one of you, two of you, three of you, or none of you feel that it was appropriate or inappropriate, that's for the five of you to determine.
Yeah, anyway, it's just a discussion that I just didn't, anyway, that's how I feel.
Anyone else want to weigh in on that?
I wasn't part of this entire application.
That's why I
so-
brought it up now for just casual discussion.
I don't
and
think
just-
I would do it any differently.
But I can say sometimes if you don't bring things up from the land planning standpoint, if you don't bring these things up in advance and you're trying to redesign on the fly on the dais, it's not good for anybody.
All right, let me
I
just
think-
sum it up like this. They wanted that slide
And I'm not saying
in the
yes or
story.
no or anything.
So
I'm
you
just
guys
saying
say whatever you want to say. I'm
every
just saying.
single-
But why what they want trumps what the community wants?
Your individual conversations were not in support of the slide based on your
You don't know what my conversation was with him.
Then what was it? It's in the sunshine, you're required to say.
I told you my conversation with him was that he had to mitigate with the residents and come to some kind of a conclusion that they could all live with.
Okay.
That's all. That was it.
I yelled at him too. I
And
yelled
that,
at everybody.
that doesn't, if it's one-on-one with the applicant, I mean, that's what it was. That's what my ex parte with
They
them
removed it.
was.
They removed, all right, so I'm done, but that's how I feel about it. You know, it just magically disappeared.
No, it didn't.
No, it didn't
totally
magically.
did. It
No, it
disappeared
did
yesterday.
not magically disappear.
And if you guys are worried about getting reelected or elected, you know, we went through term limits and this city
Carl,
caught on
that's not a
fire.
part of this discussion. That has
You don't
nothing to
run
do
what
with
I
it.
say.
But that's
I
not a
can say
part of this
whatever I want.
discussion.
If you guys are worried about getting elected or politics or whatever, then we all got reelected when the whole city was on fire about term limits and we did what we thought was right. I just don't
And
like, I didn't like
I
it.
did what I thought was right in this case.
And don't forget, Carl, we had a lot of conversation, and I was opposed to the slide from the very beginning, and that's why I brought up those questions when they were here talking about the zoning changes, because I didn't like the slide. So I thought I made it pretty clear that I was supporting, and I think it's even on record, I supported the zoning changes, but I want to have conversations about the slide, and that's what we did. I had conversations with the city manager, had conversations with Ken, and of course a number of residents, all of which said the same thing. And then Ken came to us, me individually, and I guess the rest of you too, stating that they pulled the slide. There's nothing, I mean,
The
that's,
conversation I had about pulling the slide was completely different apparently than the conversation.
well, I don't know when you had a conversation with Ken or not.
It was more political reasons why you want to get elected, she needs to get reelected, and Mark, it was more politics. That's the
for
conversation that I
Politics
had.
What
for
kind of politics are you
what?
talking
Who
about?
had any
I've got 1 year
politics?
left on this council. This is my community. That's my club. I play golf there. I had nothing to do.
Everybody's community and it's
Right.
everybody's.
You're
So-
on the dais right now
where's the
accusing
politics coming
us of
from?
playing
Come on, Carl.
politics in our decisions on this project. Oh, my God, is right.
Good for you, but that's not what I said. I said that was a conversation that I had.
Well, it was
I
a
just
wrong
learned about
conversation.
It
pulling
was
the
a
slide
wrong,
the
it
other
was
day.
a wrong conversation.
Carl, if it makes you feel any better, they could have not pulled it and then let the council vote. I mean, they didn't have to do it, they chose to do it, if that makes you feel any better.
Because they didn't have council support over phone calls. That's my point. I'm done with it. Good night.
Can I bring something else up, just to change the subject totally? May I?
It was more
Carl?
than, it was accusations, it was more than.
You guys, everyone, please, Marcy.
Madam Mayor,
Please.
may I bring something up that is totally unrelated that we should all look at? Have you guys looked at the redistricting maps, Senate and the House maps? It appears at my initial glance that our city is divided between 2 representatives. And if that's the case, we should consider maybe in the future, if that stays that way. I think they're voting in February. And if that's the case, we might want to consider having a discussion at the next council meeting as to whether we want to request that we're in one district, which one, it doesn't matter, be in one, or
State House
make a
or
point.
Are you talking about
Yeah.
county or state?
State, yeah.
Can we look into that and see if that's actually the case
And-
with the redistricting? So that we
I'll be
can
happy
put
to
that
look
on
into
there?
that, yes.
I just don't know if it's beneficial to have
Yeah, that would not be.
multiple representatives versus one for our city. Anyway, thank you. That was it. Okay, are we going to the next adjournment?
Anyone have anything else for council action or discussion after that?
I do not.
Okay, city attorney reports.
I don't have one. Happy Hanukkah and Merry Christmas.
Thank you. In that case, we are adjourned.